without turning both feet in the same direction, or open, and also having sideways feet. So the motion we're going to use is open, open, close, close. And for the drill, we're going to reset to the middle each time. So we're going to put, so the drill, you load on this leg, push off onto this leg, load. And if you need to do an extra one to get across the track, that's totally fine. So if it is, that's cool. Does that make sense? Any questions? Alright, let's spread out around the track, or we'll just actually jump over you. And that's really embarrassing on like the third time. Yeah? The first time it's okay, the third time it's embarrassing. So if you see a jammer coming up a line, that's a good way to cover it. If you're already forward spacing. It's also if a jammer pulls off and takes something. Yeah, so if I'm here and I've got a jammer locked down, and then she suddenly pulls off and takes that line, I have to be able to get to it. Yeah? Because as fun as it is to think you can run up, catch them, and hit them, particularly on the inside line, that's not generally super available. Yeah? Why is the closing important? Yeah, so you're ready to take impact at any time. Because if you finish in this, if you're just doing this, this isn't a very stable, ready for impact position. If a jammer takes you here, something bad is going to happen. I don't know exactly what. The other thing I would say is if you're getting your feet very close together here, this isn't a super stable position either. So try to keep your feet sort of shoulder-ish width apart. Awesome, let's do this for another couple of minutes. The exact same movement I'm doing at the exact time, but she's using those two movements to follow me, yeah? So it'll look like this. That makes sense? There was a couple where I accidentally put my toe stop down. Try to avoid that. Yeah? But it will happen sometimes. Any questions? Awesome, we're going to do contact with you. And I think for a few years there it got pretty untrendy to skate low. And it became one of those things like, oh, my coach is constantly telling me to bend my knees. I don't want to bend my knees. I can stand up straight and be perfectly effective. Roller derby is definitely swinging back to skating low being what wins games, you know. We all try really hard to skate really low. And the way we do that is by dropping and continuing to drop. So none of my team expects ourselves to skate down here for 60 minutes, but we do expect ourselves to, if we get lifted up, to be able to come back down to here. And you can do that in these kinds of drills as well. If you're doing the tracking, you're like, oh, I'm suddenly standing up, right, get low. Oh, I'm standing up again, get low. Does that make sense? As a blocker, yeah? And you don't have to, I think we get into the habit that once we're stood up, we're up here and there's nothing we can do about it. You can fix this at any second, yeah?
Broken.
Yeah. All right, so the drill we're going to do now is the jammer will be behind us and we'll follow them. So Chaos is going to use the similar tracking motions, and she's going to be behind me far enough that I can kind of see her, so probably about 5 feet, and I'm going to follow her. That makes sense? And sometimes she'll throw on some of those big steps for me to follow with big tracking as well. Any questions? Groups of 2.
Thank you.
Let's do that. The foundation of a good brace wall, and we all love playing in brace walls, is a strong tool. I think we got into the habit for a little while in roller that we got into more of the forward facing blockers just relying on a brace to do everything for us, and us just being bodies on the jam, right? It's important that as a forward facing blocker you are able to take impact, hold a stop, and track the jammer so that your brace can act as support for you, not as your only means of stopping. Yeah? So what we're going to do now is pretty simple. Can I get, where are those juniors? Can I get one of you, please? today to have my next semester. Okay. Chaos is going to jam for us. You're going to come here and be with me. So we worked on taking impact by ourselves. This time we're dropping together. So we're starting soft knees, but not all the way down here because we don't want to be scooped. So we're here. Chaos is coming for us. And just before she makes impact, we're going to drop. We want to try to also get our hips together, but your hips being together is much less important than just being low. Yeah? So we'll demo that one more time. We both had an edge. We have a side break foot, soft knees. Chaos is coming for us. Right before she hips up and bring down easy one. Yeah? Exactly the same as what we did by ourselves, just with a buddy. Yeah. With our bone bringing our hips together as well, but that may not happen. I find that my hips are almost always slightly behind other people's and like kind of on a jam. So don't stress about that much. But you're dropping towards each other, bent knees. Any questions? My whole team hates this. I will always usually be this person with somebody throwing their leg in front of me. And to me it takes away all of my own stopping power and all of the stuff I can do myself. So stacked hips are okay. Like if I was blocking with Lexi and a jam was back here and we had our hips stacked like this, but I don't have to stack my leg to do that. The other thing that happens a lot is if Lexi is behind me and does that, it will often take me out as the person in front. So I'm not saying it's an absolute no. If it works amazingly for your team, sure, but I would recommend trying to get out of the habit of it. Yeah? Okay.
Well, I was just going to say, and not positioning yourself with your feet together but not dropping allows you to use your brace, your outside brace foot more effectively.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. Because this is me, basically you're having to have like a 2-footed stop if you're doing this. And it's not super stable, you know, you don't have a good base and you can't get anywhere super. Yeah, we both all jammer jumps over us. Okay, the next drill we're going to work on is Rita around? Did she leave? Alright, can I just, So, what's going to happen here is they're going to be rockets, all facing together. As the jammer, I'm going to do it and talk through it really slowly. I'm going to hit the middle, they're going to have to take the impact, I'm going to push for a few feet, and then I'm going to take a line, and they're going to track me to the line. And then their hips square. Yeah? Does that make sense? So fast, it'll look like this. Yeah, that's good. Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to avoid here is I'm going to do that like this. Yeah, you could do that with me. So one more demo, shooting the hips, push, take it out. We're going to cover here. What I want to avoid really badly is her pushing, me turning sideways, her taking the line, and me not being able to do it. We call this a squid. Because it looks like a squid. So we're trying to avoid the squid. Yeah? Because I know that sometimes, you know, occasionally you can land this thing, but there's still a hole here, and a good jammer is just going to jump over it or do the side steps through it, right? Any questions? Okay, jammers, you're not trying to win this, you're trying to make your partners successful. Push hard, get them dug in, then take a line.
Because it's realistic.
That's real. Not actually where I was going, but real, because I play for Road City, so you know, we have that reputation. We can never get full blockers on the track.
Technically, your fourth one, if on track, should be that offensive player.
Yeah, to have a dedicated offense player, to make our jammers' lives easier. And I've got to say, I was not sold on this. Shayna was like, we're always going to have a dedicated O, and I was like, no, I don't want to do this. This is terrifying. This is a horrible idea. But she's really smart and made us commit to it, and really, really made a huge difference. Because if you've got somebody always working on getting your jammers through a pack, your jammers don't get as tired, and it teaches you that as a blocker, you're better than you think you are. Because we think we need 4 blockers, but really, we can do it with 3. You know, and if your team adopts that strategy of always having a 3-wall and a dedicated O, there will be a little bit of a learning curve where jammers get out right behind each other and things don't seem to work. But what I would recommend is committing to it for a while before throwing it out the window. You do it for 2 practices and it doesn't work, that's okay. Do it for 10 practices. And if it still doesn't work, maybe throw it out the window.
When you say dedicated, do you pick that person, like
Yes.
right off the start?
Yes, we do. We, like, if you watch the footage, it's like clear as day who our offensive players are. And it's the same person every time, unless we have a slightly different lineup in it. So yeah, because that whole like, we're going to see how it goes and send an offense later, never works. We're going to start with a 4-wall and we'll send a late offense. How often do you send that late offense? 5% of the time? 5% of the time?
So then, you get a multiplayer, somebody goes to the box, are you calling back?
If you need them, you can call them back for sure. Yeah, being an offensive player is kind of hard because they have to be able to switch, and that just triggered me to remember as well. The other thing I wanted to talk about. That was slightly off topic. That's just why we're going to work on 3 walls instead of 4 walls for penalties and for an offense. And yes, we say who it is at the beginning of a jam, and they play until the jam is out. It's a hard role that's like a whole nother 2 hours worth of training about. So we'll leave it and you can play with it if you want to do it. I saw a ton of multiplayers and it is really, you guys need to trust your own ability a little bit more. What's happening is you're kind of like, oh, I can't do this, I have to hold on to her, she's going to help me, yeah? And then there's weird tiny little multiplayers that I know maybe don't feel like multiplayers, but they are. So if the jam's pushing on here and I'm holding onto her arm here, this is a multiplayer. If I'm gripped onto her leg, this is a multiplayer. Yeah, even though the link isn't in direct contact with the jammer, if the link is holding the wall together, it's a multiplayer. Yeah, so try to keep your hands to yourselves a little bit. Touching is great. It's just, sorry. You just have to be a little bit careful how you do it. Yeah? Don't cling to each other. Okay, now we're going to work on brace hold. Can I have some helpers? Can you two help me? So, all of the skills you just used to be a 2-wall are now being put into play, but with somebody helping you to make them easier. I like to think of a brace as a bonus, not somebody. So you guys are the forward spacing bonus. Not somebody who's doing all your work for you. Yeah. So these two decide how they hold on to me, and how I would usually start is by making kind of a hug position, and they grab onto me however they want. If one of them grabs onto the inside of my arm and one of them grabs onto the outside, that's totally fine. I deal with that and grab onto them there. Try not to get locked in. I've started trying to avoid using my thumb, and it helps to hold them better. If you're the brace and they're like this, you just have to deal with this, yeah? If you brace, something else that I realized our braces have to deal with is I have really short arms and I play in this position, and the person who plays in this position has really long arms. So our brace has to brace like this. Or not this way, like this. To like have different, adjust for different arm lengths. But it's okay.